Apple reportedly switched 2 million units of production from iPhone 12 mini to Pro. We've been talking about this. We kind of already knew it. The fact that maybe out the gate, the mini model, not so hot, not as hot as maybe originally imagined, or maybe we just have too many iPhones to choose from in 2021, 2020. But it certainly is starting to look very clear that the models people want more of are either the regular iPhone 12 or one of the Pro models. And in this case, they've gone ahead and, again, as far as the report is concerned, they have decided to change over some of the production line to help out with Pro supply and move away from the mini supply that apparently nobody wants. Yeah. Far fewer people want than potentially was originally imagined. Does this mean it's a bad phone? Does this mean it will never turn itself around? No, not necessarily. It's still the cheapest of the bunch if you don't include the older models or the iPhone SE. Maybe over time, through a variety of incentives, maybe they find some places to put those devices. But another consideration here is the different markets in which Apple moves these phones. You may be sitting there in your own specific market thinking this is the whole world. Like you, Will. You might wake up on a Canadian morning and just say to yourself, well, this is how most people live. And no, they don't, Will. All right? Get it together.
I'm usually wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
As we were talking about prior to the episode running here.
Yes.
And so different markets have different needs and different wants. And even if there was a push for a nostalgic, smaller, one-handed smartphone in one market, that doesn't necessarily mean it's the case elsewhere. For example, in China, they think that the lower-end models of iPhone 12 are performing better than in the U.S. They estimate that shipments grew 47% year over year in the December quarter, reaching a new 18-month high of 20% market share, driven in large part by adoption of the iPhone 12, which has captured the most iPhone installed base share of any iPhone launched in China over the past 4 years. So you see in China, they want the stock iPhone 12.
Oh.
I'm sure they want some of the Pros too. But you would have thought, hey, if they're interested in the lower-end iPhone 12, maybe they might go for the mini. But apparently not as much as originally mentioned. We continue to believe that the iPhone will outperform expectations in the December quarter as the mix shift to higher-end iPhone 12 models is a tailwind. Revenue growth. iPhone 12 Pro lead times remain extended far beyond any model launched in the past 4 years at 10 days. So when the Pro originally launched, it was actually a little hard to get your hands on one in certain markets. And the mini thing, I don't know. Will they can it? That's really what the question comes down to. Do you continue with the mini? Can you support it at a lowered demand? Does it start to make a comeback at some point, or do you ditch it completely with the next model and just say to yourself, people are gravitating towards the other ones and it's not worth our hassle or our headache? I personally like as many options as possible, but I can also understand if it doesn't fit into your efficiency plans and the expense of keeping those other lines on a phone that, isn't, I mean, it's not even just the production lines, it's also the designers and everything else involved in keeping an extra model. But we've talked about this in the past. We just have more evidence here to suggest that the mini was not exactly the hit that at least Apple expected in the short term. Some AirPods Max owners are seeing excessive battery drain, and this is adding to the initial fiasco around the lack of a power switch. We were wondering, everyone was wondering, what are we going to do? How are we going to know for sure that these are turned off when we place them down on the table? Do we have to put them in the case? It was questions out there in the universe, Apple fans, worldwide.
And there's no light indicator, is there?
No. Nope. It just goes into a low power mode instantly when inserted into the case via some magnets inside the case that initiate this process on the headphones, or when you place them down, it takes a little longer, around 5 minutes. It says, hey, we're not being used right now. Let's do that low power mode thing as well. But as is the case with any new approach, you want to completely get rid of the power button, then some people have the potential to run into some issues if the technology is not perfect. Now, I'm not saying it's not going to be fixed. Maybe there's an update that can addressed this, but we have now a number of users reporting battery drain overnight, where they had battery going to bed. They wake up in the morning, it's all gone. And they say, what do you mean? I put it in a case. But maybe it didn't slide in the right way, or maybe it didn't initiate the sequence. Some were saying it wouldn't come disconnected from the device it was connected to, even though it was placed flat. Another user says they had 30% battery life. They went to bed. They came back, completely gone. So the argument comes up once again, would it have been really that bad to just have a power switch as well? Have the power save features, but then also have a power switch on there? And I don't know. Maybe this is one of the things that some future generation adds, or maybe it's a thing that they can fix through software updates and therefore increase the performance in the future. But in the meantime, some people are a little upset that their $550 headphone is not working perfectly. This morning, I get a notification via my iPhone that there was only 5% left. I wasn't even attempting to connect to the AirPods. I was AirPlaying to the HomePod in the room. It's strange. The AirPod Maxes weren't even awake, and they still were sitting in the case. Anyone else experiencing problems like this? And then, the people, they pile in and they pile on. So anyway, keep an eye out for it. If you personally have a pair of these super expensive headphones, let us know in the comments if you yourself are experiencing any issues with power drain. I have been using a pair beside my desk since they came out almost, and have not experienced the excessive power drain. However, I have a charge cable right there, so I'm very likely to plug them in when I'm not using them anyway. So maybe I'll stop doing that and keep an eye on the power drain myself. Another thing I haven't found is condensation inside the ear cup. I check all the time because of those initial reports. Those little water bubbles bubbling up on the inside.
Yeah.
Because of the heat of my head in the cold environment. Didn't happen. So I'll keep an eye on that for you guys as well. See if that comes up. LG considers leaving the mobile business. What are you talking about? You just showed off the rolling phone at CES. You're not leaving the mobile business. Well, maybe they are. Maybe not right now. Maybe in the future. They haven't been doing so well. 6 straight years of losing money in the smartphone game. I mean, you can't lose money for that long, Willie. I think you know this.
No.
You
got to move on.
You got to know when to fold them. You know when to hold them. You know when to fold them. And that's a reference, of course, Mo knows because he's a card player himself. So
big card guy.
So he would definitely know a reference like that. And it's really important. I learned this throughout life myself. I mean, at a way smaller scale than LG or Samsung or any of them. But sometimes you embrace the failure. Well, sometimes you give the failure a big hug and you say, you know what? You know what's good about this? Is it opens up all these other opportunities now that I can focus on something else.
Lessons learned.
Absolutely. People, they need to embrace the failure. I find the failure to be freeing. I found the bottom. Just like when you're having success, you look for the top. You look for the ceiling. You say, where is it? I don't know. I'm looking for it. Goes both ways, but it can be, it's really a lot to do with perspective, like many things in life. It's the age old, is the glass being half full or half empty. It's Yoda stuff.
Yes.
Which that's a little foreshadow coming later in it's a little foreshadow coming later in the show. Either way, we have an announcement here. After nearly 6 successive loss-making years and a $5 billion commitment, LG may finally be ready to leave the smartphone business. This is suggested, by the CEO inside of the Korea Herald, which is exactly where you would make an announcement like this if you were LG. He sent a message to staffers, suggested that a change was coming, and it was about time for LG to make a cold judgment. I like that. Cold. Ice cold. You know what that's like, Will? The clock is running down. It's the NBA. The clock is running down. It's towards the end. And, the ball finds the right shooter.
Yeah.
And you're watching it as a fan. And you realize at the moment has not gotten to this individual at all. That person is ice cold to the crowd, to the magnitude, and they're about to go through this motion which they have done millions of times. They're just going to replicate it, and the situation has not impacted this movement whatsoever as they elevate.
He's just doing his thing.
Beautifully release from the ice cold position. so reasonable.
Yeah.
The motion is
Muscle
the
memory.
same. The motion is the same. Anyway, so he's ice cold himself, which I like. It looks like whether they're in or out, they are going to be downsizing the smartphone business. They moved some employees around. Potentially around 60% of the employees working on mobile will be reassigned to other parts of LG's business. And the remaining 40%, it's unclear what they're about to work on. They are in a serious slump. They haven't made money in that department in a long while. And of course, there's also increasing competition in the space, as you know. It's no joke, that space. You gotta deal with just your next door neighbor in Samsung, but then you gotta deal with Apple, then you gotta deal with the Chinese brands. Sheesh. So they've dipped all the way down to like 1.7% market share, something like that. We'll see what they do. I hope they stick with it at least past this rollable phone, because who knows? Maybe that's the one. Maybe they were onto something. We'll see. This is an interesting article. It's a few days old. It's from the 3rd, but it was tweeted to me, and I have featured this particular contributor from Forbes a couple times, Zach Doffman. He has a focus and interest on cybersecurity, and he has taken a little look at the WhatsApp situation, which has gotten so much coverage around the globe and here on this show. And he's looking at, okay, what exactly does WhatsApp know about you? Okay, what exactly... Is it really that bad? What's going on? What do they know about you? How many little data points? How many markers? I know sometimes you're interested in these things, Willie do. And then he compared what WhatsApp knows about you or is looking for, or how many connection points to your identity they have. And he compared that to Facebook Messenger, and he compared it to iMessage, and he compared it to Signal.
Yeah.
Right? And it's he put together, it's kind of a low-tech infographic, but I found it interesting nonetheless. And so if you scroll down here, you're going to catch a nice little glimpse into what's really going on. But you got to go down.
All the way.
You got to go down. You got to go downtown.
Let's just not
No,
read
keep going
everything.
down. Keep going down. Keep going down.
Oh, okay.
That first one is just versus iMessage. Here we go. That's the one I love right there.
Why is it so small?
And you know what? You don't even need to actually enlarge it. I'll tell you why. Because you can just see how many things. And I'll read it to you too. One end of the spectrum. The end of the spectrum knowing everything about you is Facebook Messenger. I am talking purchases, financial info, location, health and fitness, contact info, contacts, user content, browsing history, identification, usage data, offer data, diagnostics. I mean, other data.
All the data.
At the bottom, other data. This list, it's like 100 things. Facebook is a data mining company. That's the thing. And I know that your initial response to that is terrible, but let's just chill for a second and recognize exactly what's going on here. Facebook's an ad business. It would be like if you added Google to this list. Google wants to know everything too because, well, that's how ad businesses work. They actually provide you a superior experience in most cases if they know something about you. You're getting hit with something that may actually impact you, affect you, that you might actually be interested in. So it's not for nothing, and certainly they want to profit. But just keep in mind that it's not exactly a fair comparison because Facebook itself, Messenger and otherwise, is a different business model, right? Certainly a different business model than iMessage. iMessage, they don't have to do that. They're trying to sell you a phone.
Yeah.
At the end of the day. So their whole revenue structure is different. But it is worth seeing anyways and knowing because, hey, as a customer, you do get a choice between this variety of platforms. So Facebook Messenger on one end, this list is all of the data it collects linked to you. WhatsApp is next. It's got, about half the connection points of Facebook Messenger. Of course, WhatsApp is a Facebook product. iMessage comes after that, linking a few things to you, such as your search history, your device ID, your email address, and your phone number. And then at the far end of the spectrum, that's your Signal sitting there. Guess what data it has linked to you? Nothing! And this is increasingly a conversation now. Customers seem to care, enough so that you had the mass exodus from WhatsApp over to privacy policy update and towards apps like Signal. And I don't know what's going to happen to the marketplace, right? This has far-reaching effects outside the realm of you and your little messages. I hate to break it to you, Willie do.
Oh.
This has potential effects and impacts on how businesses as a whole operate. Companies like Facebook and Google, and what they can actually provide you in the absence of a truly dynamic ad-driven model. Guess what? This show right here relies on a dynamic delivery and an ad-driven model. Hate to break it to you. I don't know about you guys, but maybe this is a interesting hypothetical, but we have sponsors on the show, advertising on the show. For us, our alternative method is to have it paid for, to have people pay for the thing that they want. iMessage, on the other hand, is sell you a phone. Well, maybe we can sell you a phone.
Yeah.
And it comes with free Lou later forever for life.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do that.
The
instead.
Lou phone.
I'll figure that out. I'll figure that
Later
out.
phone.
All right, speaking of the WhatsApp privacy policy updates, India has taken a stand and is reportedly asking WhatsApp directly, hey, just don't do it. You have an actual document, a letter sent by India's IT ministry straight to WhatsApp saying, please reconsider. We don't think this is a good idea, and we might not be all that cool with you collecting this data on our 400 million citizens. That's right. Number one market for WhatsApp is India with 400 million users. So even if they lose a handful, it's still a huge impact on all the people that are going to click to accept. So you know that probably the citizenry reached out to this IT minister and said, hey, man, I want to keep using WhatsApp. You shouldn't let them do this. Get involved. Government, get involved. And, of course, government regulation inside these tech companies, a thing that's been talked about outside of India, here, elsewhere, United States, and so forth. India's government asked the firm to withdraw a proposed change that appeared to require users to share personal data with WhatsApp. Now, when that policy change first popped up, obviously a number of users switched. And we just talked about how Signal it shot up in popularity. In India, specifically, it surged 4,200% in downloads for Signal. But that still only accounts for 2.3 million new installs in India. Now, 2.3 million is a lot of installs for a messenger app, a company like Signal. It's certainly not nothing. However, it is not that substantial compared to the 400 million users that WhatsApp already has. 2 million out of 400 million. 2 million out of 400 million.
Yeah.
You do the comparison, you run the ratio, and you're like, oh, yeah, now I know why the IT minister, or is that his name? Yeah, the IT ministry reached out, because they realize the customer might not actually drive this change, and WhatsApp is a platform that's there to stay and powerful enough, multinational, Facebook, so forth. So anyway, the Indian government's trying to step in and have WhatsApp withdraw. WhatsApp spokespeople, they've been saying, no, you got this thing all wrong. So I don't know if they're going to withdraw because of this. Maybe they'll make some adjustments. One last story on the privacy surge and customers gravitating towards more privacy now and into the future. Here we have a record-setting day for DuckDuckGo, the search engine that people always get mad at me because I don't consider it. Because I always say, where are you going to go besides Google? I always say, are people really using Bing? And then people get very upset with me and they say, DuckDuckGo! They shout that to me in the street when I drive past.
Yeah. Must be very terrifying.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm like, DuckDuckGo. Do I need to duck? You know what I mean? Because maybe something's coming. Duck Hunt? Nintendo? Anyway, DuckDuckGo has seen its very own surge as privacy becomes a thing that people are thinking about. It served 102,251,307 search queries on January 11th, breaking its past 100 million query milestone for the very first time. Congrats to DuckDuckGo.
Good job.
Now, I want to let you know, Will, that's kind of a minor number if you were to compare it to Google.
Uh-huh.
You want to take a shot at how many searches Google serves per day?
Per day?
Oh, it's around 5 billion.
Oh.
5 billion versus 100 million. So, yeah, not exactly in the same space yet, but interesting nonetheless, and certainly moving in a competitive direction. Now, I'm just going to round it out for you as far as the various other search options that exist. Bing accounts for 6.45% of searches. That's Google's closest competitor. Google, by the way, 87.81% of searches happen through Google. Yahoo is still kicking. 3.05%. And DuckDuckGo is now sitting there with 2.3. If they continue at this pace, they're about to pass by Yahoo and maybe even catch Bing.
Yeah. Interesting. I'm looking at this dip here from Google. It's the same increase from Yahoo at the time.
Look at you.
I wonder why.
Are you reading charts right now?
Yeah. I'm an
Yeah,
analyst.
this is a serious show. Congrats, DuckDuckGo.
Very cool.
Google has other products besides search, including what is my choice for mapping software, obviously, Google Maps. I don't care what platform I'm using. I use a lot of Google Maps, and I tend to think Google Maps is one of the most underrated apps. People just take it for granted. They're just like,
Yeah.
life before Maps.
Uh-huh.
I mean, fun from an adventure standpoint.
Uh-huh.
Of course, the youngsters listening, they're like, what are you talking about, life before? What are you saying, life before? What is life before Google? Google Maps? No, it existed. And
Yeah,
I'm talking,
we had physical maps.
there were different stages. So you had physical maps at one point, or you had the map books, which my dad had in the car when I was
right,
young.
yeah.
The yellow ones, you remember those?
Yeah.
And it would have, I guess, the most current mapping that you could have in a book. And you would go on a trip, and maybe you would
This
pick
one right
up.
here?
That was what my dad had. Will's showing off an ancient mapping. But you know what? I always liked maps.
Yeah.
Those map books. I always liked them.
Uh-huh.
So anyway, so we had that, and then we moved from that to the MapQuest era, which was you print a paper map of your trip beforehand because you weren't going to be connected to mapping software once you left.
Yeah.
And then you got the navigation in the car, which came before the smartphone penetration. So you would have
Tom?
you remember TomTom and
Yeah.
Garmin. And these various. But anyway, Google Maps is the way it is right now. Got a little sidetrack there. Google Maps is the way it is right now, and they're making it even better than it's ever been by increasing the level of street level detail in a handful of cities for now, but increasingly this will roll out to even more cities. You're talking about enhanced graphical representation of sidewalks, crosswalks, pedestrian islands, and street side flora.
Oh.
You know what flora is, Willie Do? Yeah, that's plants and whatnot.
Oh.
For the time being, you can experience the enhanced Google Maps in the central London region, Tokyo, San Francisco, and New York. And we're going to see more cities jumping in there real soon. This is important not just for people trying to enjoy a rich map, but also for people that are potentially traveling in a wheelchair or with a stroller and need to know exactly what type of sidewalk
Accessibility
and
options.
path they're about to interact with. Is it dirt? What? Like, I need to know this detail right now.
Cool.
So that's pretty cool. You're right. Here we have a new rugged tablet being launched by Samsung. I always had a thing for the active lineup. I used some different active phones. I think the last one was the S6, Galaxy S6 active. There was definitely an S5 active too. This was a rugged, like military looking, yeah. Wow, that thing looks so dated right now, but I thought it was cool at the time. It was kind of like as if your phone had an OtterBox built onto it. And so it wasn't quite as bulky, but it had similar durability characteristics. I think they gave up on this lineup as far as phones are concerned, but they keep it kicking around as far as the tablets are concerned. And this new model, the Galaxy Tab Active 3, is going to target frontline workers, medical professionals who need a very durable device and don't want to be goofing around with an extra case. You know what I mean? Because then it's like the fit and, you know, the grime and the dirt, and you had to be able to sanitize the whole thing easily. And if you have a case, things tend to get in between. And so you have it all built right in. This thing also has a removable battery built in there. So it's just got a very specific target. And I've always just had a thing for rugged gadgets. I remember back in the day with the Panasonic Tough Books, I was always like, I could drive over it with my car. I'm not going to. I was like, I could.
Yeah, because it looks so rugged.
The military aspect of it seems kind of cool. So anyway, we have a new tab coming along that's going to do that. Speaking of another Samsung product, this retro case has set the internet ablaze. That's just a slight exaggeration, but it is cool. In Korea, Samsung launched these retro cases for your Galaxy Buds Pro that play on some old designs, some old flip phone designs. Actually, if you scroll down and click to the somewhere in there. Get better pictures is what I'm trying to tell you. Yeah, the Hypebeast article. That's the one. You can get a better look. You can click through 5 or 6 images. It looks like a legit little flip phone.
Does it work?
No, it doesn't. It's not a flip phone. I hate to break it to you, Will. But you store your buds in there. It's a protective case, and it's got a retro styling to it, so you can be the cool kid for a moment. Now, I hate to break it to you, this is only going to be available in limited quantities, and for the Korean market, the cases resemble an Anycall T100 or an Anycall E700 clamshell phone. This is a retro throwback style. The case covers are going to be available, at least for now, only in South Korea as in-store gifts with the purchase of Galaxy Buds Pro until January 31st. Now, you can buy them as well. I guess they're listed as an add-on purchase on the website for $30 if you want to pick one up. A little nostalgia for you there. This PlayStation Scalper has aggravated some people. Now, you know people are still trying to get their hands on these things. I don't know if you knew that. And this particular scalper or scalper group, I don't know. Carnage Bot? I don't know if you've heard of them, but they're very good at getting their hands on these devices and checking out quickly and spoiling things for everyone else who's attempting. The most recent attack took place at the UK supplier store named Game Digital. And this @CarnageBot on Twitter was bragging about getting over 2,000 checkouts successfully logged for the day's restock of the PS5, which, man, how many did this particular outlet get? That might have been the whole boat.
Yeah.
Or close to it. And then he follows up with, this just keeps getting easier every time, which, you know, with the purple devil icon as well, which just gets people real irate. And so there were a lot of replies to this particular tweet. And actually even a response from the retailer themselves. They say this morning at 10:09 when clicked purchase for the PS5 Digital, treated to a message saying out of stock, even though others are buying them, including 2,000 went to CarnageBot. This is ridiculous. Oh, this is somebody tweeting at the official Twitter handle for the retailer. I was in at 10 on the dot and wasted time trying these different methods. So the bot scalpers have gotten better, and they've been able to make thousands of dollars, you know, selling these things for about twice the price in most markets. And they are doing it by running these bot networks that appear to be very effective at being faster than humans. Once again, it's what we've all predicted. The bots are better than we are at a variety of tasks.
Absolutely.
And we better just accept it at this point, even if it's just buying PlayStations. Netflix is about to bring its Shuffle Play to all users worldwide. Now, I think this is a very cool feature. We talked about it in the past. They were trying it in a few different markets. And the question was, okay, is this a real thing or are they just goofing? And it turns out it's a real thing, and they claim that it's been successful, whatever test run they've done in those markets. The idea here, Will, is that Netflix becomes more like TV. You boot it up and it just starts playing. And it starts playing based on the algorithm and your watch history and maybe a movie that you got partway through, and it kind of guesses that you probably want to finish that. Now, you can click a button as opposed to scrolling and looking around like you normally would. or just clicking whatever's on the homepage. You can click this shuffle button. Now, they haven't necessarily figured out exactly how they're going to run the feature. Some of the tests show a dedicated button that you'll click. Other tests show that you'll just launch straight into it. Maybe this is a setting that you can control. But it certainly seems futuristic. And the more algorithmic control that exists over our online and consumption experiences, the closer we get to this future in which there's no clicking anymore. But that the algorithm is so good at figuring out what to show you when that you will just log in and log out. You know, if you know what I'm saying, log in and check out. They would just, you know, home. Your eyes just gloss over, full zombie mode. It's just feeding you everything you need, or you think you need.
Like Clockwork Orange.
You consider to be mental nutrition.
Yeah.
You're like, how long have I been on here?
3 months.
I don't know anymore. What day is it? Home.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, I don't think it's going to be like that right away. That's a bit of a downer. I think it's probably just going to be cool right away like TV was, where you can just kind of relax a little bit, and this could solve, at least in the short term, that problem of spending more time figuring out what you want to watch as opposed to just watching some stuff and taking some chances. Like, I took a chance on Disney Plus the other day. I told you, I watched the Isle of Dogs movie. I would have never watched that, but it was just right there. I was like, okay, what is it? And then next thing I watch it, and I enjoyed it. So sometimes it's tough to get introduced to something new when you have when you're exerting this tremendous control over your experience.
Even though it's just the press of a button.
I know. It's weird, man. People are crazy. You may remember this Hyperion XP1 hydrogen supercar. It landed in Las Vegas for the CES show, which is still, I guess, happening in a very minor way. This is the world's first hydrogen fuel cell supercar, which, of course, this is a technology that I suppose aims to compete with the likes of electric vehicles, except you can refill it. Hydrogen. They put out a video traveling down the strip. This thing is full supercar status, and I think maybe we'll get him to drive it up here. Will, what do you say? That should be no problem, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just get this one in studio real quick. Down for that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, anyway, in the meantime, they're going to drive it through the desert very slowly, might I add. I don't know if this is ready production sample or what this is, but they're just chilling coming through the desert, full camo on the vehicle, and they hit the strip and everything looks really cool. Well, this is certainly a supercar coming in at, I think, 2,000 horsepower. It's kind of crazy. And pretty light. It's pretty lightweight, 2,275 pounds, because unlike an electric vehicle, there's no battery pack in there. It's using hydrogen. The XP1 has carbon fiber tanks to store hydrogen, and the entire fuel cell supplies send power to 4 electric motors, which one of each is on each wheel. 500 horsepower at each wheel for 2,000 total. 0 to 60 in under 3 seconds. Top speed, 221 miles per hour. Again, that's the type of footage I'd like to see. The other cool thing is the range. You ain't going to see a supercar with a 1,016 mile range. That's 1,635 kilometers.
Nice.
So road trip in your hydrogen supercar, you just got to find places to get more hydrogen along the way, and that certainly is not ready for prime time. Either way, a very cool looking vehicle. Now, tell me something, Will. When you put the doors down on it, do you have a picture of it with the doors down? No, you're stuck now. You're dead. There you go. Tell me, is the driver's side window tiny or what?
Yeah.
Holy moly. I guess it's supercar status, but you're going to have to really get your head in the right position to see out of that thing, the way it is right now. Speaking of electric vehicles, futuristic vehicles, Porsche's finally going to hit people with the more budget-minded version of the Taycan. This will be the rear-wheel drive model that is going to come in at $81,000, getting closer to Tesla as far as price-to-performance ratio. Look, no one's surprised that a Porsche costs a lot of money. That's kind of their thing. But it is a bit, for some potential buyers or cross-shoppers that are looking against Tesla and comparing the spec sheet, it is expensive. And not that competitive on paper. This one, on the other hand, puts it a little closer for some people doing the cross shopping at $81,000, but it still costs $10,000 more than an all-wheel drive Tesla Model S. So it's still a premium vehicle, even though it's only rear-wheel drive, and it's going to have likely a shorter EPA range than what the Tesla provides. But again, it's different tastes. People get to choose whatever it is that they like. This is more of a driver's car in terms of feel and steering, and at least that's what some people suggest. It's all very personal. So this one's going to make about 402 horsepower. It's not actually going to be that quick. I said it's a driver's car. That model's going to go 0 to 60 in 5.1 seconds, which compared to my Taycan Turbo S, that's about half the speed.
I see.
Which is a bit upsetting, but it depends what you're looking for. Maybe you just want something finely finished on the inside, like a nice interior. And
that you can customize as well.
Yeah, you get a lot more control when you go to Porsche route. That's kind of what you're paying for. Some of those personal touches, and maybe that's what you want. You don't care so much about 2.4 seconds 0 to 60 times like the Turbo S, or maybe you don't want to spend a ridiculous amount of money on that type of vehicle. So they got you covered a little bit more. Speaking of having you covered, though, if you don't even want to spend that much, Mercedes-Benz might help you out. They're going to give you this new EQA electric SUV for $46,000. So this marketplace is really heating up. Now, the one downside with this particular vehicle, it's not a range topper. It's coming in at 265 miles of range per charge, likely. Granted, people kind of adjust their expectations to go with cost. $46,000, you're like, all right, get around town. Depends what your commute looks like. 265 miles is going to work for some people. And it's a little SUV. You move around town, Will. And you have a luxurious interior. And you pick a few things up. You throw Otis in the back. I don't know. Tell me.
This reminds me of the Mach-E from Ford, in a way.
You think so?
Yeah. I don't know. For some reason, it has like a similar shape.
I would say, well, it's definitely in the same market. Yeah. I think the Mach-E looks a little sportier than this.
Right.
I would say. But you're right. It is the same segment. It's a small electric SUV with a big hatchback on it. Same number of seats. And I don't know about the range. I think that the Mach-E can do slightly better range than this EQA. But look at this, Will. It's so many more options.
Yeah.
What do you think of the interior, by the way? I'm just going to ask you that real quick. How do you think the interior stacks up to something like a Tesla?
Where is the interior?
Well, the pictures are in there, Will.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're right in the article there. That's where those pictures. Okay, here we go. Willie do.
It's nice. It's very sporty.
Initial reaction.
I always like the big screen. I
big
think that's
screen
coming
across
up
there.
for
Yeah.
pretty much all vehicles. Yeah, I like it.
Willie do.
It's not bad.
He gives it the thumbs up. Now, obviously, the leader in the marketplace, Tesla, and there's an interesting article popped up here. What would have happened if instead of buying a Tesla Model S when it launched, what if instead of doing that, you had have spent the equivalent amount of money just buying Tesla stock? So you said, you know what? I'm going to drive a cheap car for now, and I'm going to take the $77,000 that this initial launch Model S would cost. And I know I'm going to enjoy it over the next few years, but I feel like Tesla's really the future. So I'm going to take that same $77,000. And instead of buying a vehicle right now, I'm just going to buy the stock.
Yeah.
What do you think would have happened?
Right now, maybe you would have been able to buy 4 Model S. Am I right?
You, my friend, are way off.
Oh.
If you took $77,400 back in 2012, that would have bought you 11,389 shares of Tesla stock.
Oh.
Okay. Now, of course, you have to adjust for the stock split as well. But here's what that would mean for you today. As of January 15th, $9,409,136.
So a little more than 4 Model S, right?
Oh, man. These stories always make people feel a certain way.
Yeah.
It's so weird. It's actually weird that The person wants the car at the moment. We all want the things. We want the short term. We want to have the experience now. We want to hold on to something. We want the enjoyment of something manifested right now. But it is weird that the same 77, like the guy could have bought, not this, there is no guy, but any one of us could have put that money to work for ourselves. Now, I know this stock is inflated and it's a big time hype machine and everything else. But as of today, that individual could sell those 11,389 shares for that staggering number. I know. People are in shock. And they're thinking about, what's the next thing, Lou? Tell me the next Tesla. No, I can't tell you the next Tesla. Apologize. Speaking of Tesla, Mr. Elon Musk, you know, he did those other things besides the car, including the flamethrower. You recall the flamethrower? Remember, I was shooting it around like a maniac in this place.
Yeah, you had a time.
I was having a time.
Almost destroyed the studio.
Some would
with
say
the sprinklers.
I was having a time.
Yeah.
Some would say.
Good time. Good time.
Anyway, it turns out that even though they called it not a flamethrower, some people found themselves end up with some issues. And law enforcement in some different places said, oh, no, that's a flamethrower and that's illegal. And you're going to jail right now. And that happened in a few places outlined in this particular article, including a guy in Italy who was apprehended and actually kept in jail for a little while over the possession of such a thing. And another user who encountered in the UK encountered a police raid in which they entered his premises looking for his flamethrower.
Jeez. And
it actually reminded me of a personal story, which I don't think I've shared on the show before. And I'm going to give like a quick version of it. The Taser smartphone case.
Yeah.
You recall that? I think you got shocked on that video.
Yeah. How can I forget?
And you can't forget. No one forgets getting shocked on video. After this video goes up, years later.
This is a funny intro.
Years later, the police show up at my place. Yeah, why is he hitting the groin as well? Years later,
right in
the
there.
cops came looking for that taser. Because around here, that type of device is illegal, even though it was shipped to us, depending on the spot that you're going to own such a thing. It's either legal. Look at young Willie Doo, by the way. Are you 12 years old there?
That was a fresh face.
Wow. You're so old now.
Oh.
Did it actually hurt?
That still hurt.
Did it actually hurt?
Hurts right now.
I wonder, did I end up using it on myself as well or no? Just so casually shocking you?
Yeah.
Anyway, the cops showed up looking for it. At that time, I had already, I don't know, I sent it back or disposed of it. I don't remember, but I didn't have it. And they were like, nah, we just got to tell you. They didn't raid my house or anything. They just said, we got to let you know that particular type of device, they got a complaint from a local person. It was like, I know this guy is around here and he has that thing and you better pay him a visit. And it's crazy.
It was me?
Yeah, you ratted me out.
Yeah.
It was crazy, but that's the thing. I mean, you got to know about these different weapons and if it, even if you say on paper it's not a flamethrower, in certain regions, they're going to potentially feel differently. I think to date, there's like 1,000 cases of people running into trouble over that particular flamethrower. Did I make that up, the 1,000 number? I read it in the original story. Yeah, more than 1,000 flamethrower purchasers abroad have had their devices confiscated by customs officers or local police, with many facing fines and weapons charges. So, I mean, yeah, I guess there's some risk involved. Us, on the other hand, we just had a good time, and the police did not visit for this one. So maybe in Canada, we're okay. Look at me adjusting the flame. That thing is wild. MSI is readying crypto mining specific GeForce RTX 30 series graphics cards. Things are heating up, Mr. Willie Doo, in the crypto community around these new NVIDIA graphics cards. We talked yesterday about NVIDIA maybe shifting its focus and taking crypto seriously again. And MSI appears to be doing something similar. This article coming on WCCF Tech, and they seem to have discovered in the list of upcoming graphics cards for MSI a couple of model names that have shed some light on future plans. The GeForce RTX 3060 Ti Miner 8G and the GeForce RTX 3060 Ti Miner HEOC for overclock. These showed up alongside a long list of other GPUs that are currently in the works for MSI, seeming to indicate that, well, they're interested in the marketplace. MSI has been spotted submitting 2 brand new crypto mining graphics cards over at the EEC. These cards include the Ti Miner, standard or factory overclocked. And the card has a rated TDP of 200 watts, retails for $399 US without the mining variant. So I don't know. I think I kind of like this idea because then I told you on the previous episode, it separates the two communities a little bit.
Right, yeah.
So there's less conflict where they're like, no, that's a mining specific card. You wouldn't even want that if you're a gamer.
Yeah.
As opposed to these pictures that people show these amazing rigs and then the gamers are upset saying, I can't even get my hands on a 30 anything. 3060, 3070, 3080,
Yeah,
3090.
you took mine, you know?
What's that?
Like, they'll be saying, yeah, you took mine.
Exactly.
If there wasn't a variant.
Exactly. So I don't mind the idea of the variant, but we'll have to wait and see how it differs from the original model once it finally hits. And who knows if that'll even be able to hit in quantity. This is another story, crypto related. Crypto whale abruptly drains wallet, moving $615 million in Bitcoin in a single transaction. This is both incredible and somewhat scary as well. The speed at which tremendously large sums of value can be moved around. I mean, that's the promise of Bitcoin, right? Oh, you want to move 615 million in an instant with a small transaction fee? Bitcoin. That's what happened here. So the other thing is it's all on the ledger. So people come in and try to speculate. Wait a sec, what's going on? That's some big funds.
And everyone can see it.
Everyone can see it, but they just can't see. They just don't know who to who. Yeah. It's anonymous.
They can see the transaction.
But you see the transaction took place. And this is two things. Okay, so first, the technology, incredible. You move this tremendous amount of money quickly for a low fee. Okay, that's awesome. Huge vote for Bitcoin. But on the flip side, it brings into question the amount of value of Bitcoin held by just a small number of individuals. If just one, and it might be a group, you don't know, but if one person presumably can move 615 million or more than $500 million in an instant, then presumably they could also pull it out. And then that breeds some level of fear in the fact that prices could be swayed drastically by people selling it off. It appears to be that there's some sort of a threshold at the $30,000 price point right now that people are investors or whoever, speculators, people are comfortable at $30,000 and they're buying at $30,000. Today's rate or the rate of the moment, 35,000 compared to USD. But either way, you want to know the transaction fee, Willie, do for this enormous movement right here?
What's that?
This was 17,473 BTC worth $615 million. The fee was $3 to move that money. Ladies and gentlemen.
That's nice.
Incroyable. You know what language that is?
French?
Well done, Willie Do. Jack Ma showed back up. He came out of the woodwork. He's no longer lying low, or he's at least lying less low. He came on to video screens everywhere. He was talking to teachers. He was giving a little speech to, it was like kind of, it's a philanthropic event. And so he was encouraging the Rural Teacher Initiative, giving them words of wisdom, encouraging them. He participated. It was an online ceremony. You get a guy like him, billionaire, tycoon, and it gives some extra heat to your event. So he showed up for that. And he addressed 100 village teachers receiving accolades from the foundation. Now, this ceremony is usually held in person, but he had to come on video this time around because of COVID and all the rest of it. And it's held annually in Sanya. And I don't know if you're familiar with this region of China. Vin is very intimately, he knows about this region. Where are you, Vin? You ever been to Sanya? Twice. And this is a very tropical almost region where you would have sand and beaches, and it's like a resort, sort of like a resort destination if you live in China.
Is that why they say sand? Yeah, because they're like sand. Yeah.
That is rude, and you are canceled, sir.
Oh boy.
Anyway, so normally they would take place there, and it would be a nice, fun event, but he had to jump on. Anyway, this is a big deal because the guy, he was off the radar since October, and everyone was stressing that.
Yeah, they were worried.
I mean, he had obviously some sort of disagreement. It was a closed-door meeting that took place between himself and the government, and then he goes, and then you don't see him for a while. So people had all kinds of speculation, as people do. So him showing back up, if you move to the next tab, of course, it had a very positive effect on the stock. Alibaba stock is jumping up after this first public appearance. It shot up 7.3% to a 6-week high in pre-market trading. It's 6.35% now, but either way, it's they're on track for a 5th straight gain. So it's obvious that the stock market likes to see Jack Ma if they're thinking about investing in his company. They're like, there's the guy.
Yeah, let's put $1 billion in there.
Yeah, let me invest. There's the guy. He's done it before. He's going to do it again. So the word here is that he was actually splitting his time. He was traveling around. I guess he was in Beijing a little bit. He himself actually was in Sanya as well, outside of the event. So taking a load off, laying low. I think that's also where you would lay low in China. Now, I don't know. I'll have to visit one. I'll have to visit one. Hey, man. I'm going to have to visit one day and see what this region's all about. You know about this virtual streamer, CodeMiko or CodeMiko?
You know what?
I don't know how you say this.
Her, maybe 2 weeks
You discovered
ago.
her?
Yeah. On YouTube.
What?
Yeah.
I thought it was a Twitch
YouTube.
thing.
She's on YouTube. Yeah. It just popped up.
Tell me what you discovered.
She's a virtual avatar. And she's kind of like played by someone in the background using motion detection or motion like capture, I think.
Yeah.
That's the technology behind it.
This is the new thing. This is the hot new thing, Willie Do.
Yeah, being a celebrity, but in like a 3D.
Yeah, you get to create whatever
virtual
situation
world.
you want. Like, look at even her background. And, I mean, you get to create the appearance, and look how happy she is, you know?
Yeah.
We can't smile like that. Just make one of those.
Perfect
Yeah, man, perfect. Virtual streamer, how do you say it? Is it CodeMiko or Code? CodeMiko feels weird to say, but anyway. Has been banned from Twitch for a 3rd time.
Oh.
And I'm sitting there thinking, man, you're banning the virtual streamer? Jeez, ease up. Relax.
Well, there's someone behind it.
I know there's someone behind it, but still, it seems harsh to me. And it seems more harsh when you figure out why. But I guess Twitch has gotten more strict recently with the banning. People are speculating now why exactly the ban took place. And especially since in the last few weeks, she's been picking up steam, pulling numbers. And so people are like, just starting to take off. What are you doing, Twitch? What you got against her? So the original speculation was that she may have uttered a particular word, which has now been banned on the platform. It starts with an S and ends with a P.
Oh, right. Can we say it?
I don't know. I don't know. I guess I'm scared of that word now because what are you talking about? You ban off Twitch for that word? I didn't even know. Anyway, the word is simp. I just said it.
Oh.
So I'm banned off Twitch, but I'm not on Twitch, so I guess I can't be banned from Twitch. So apparently that was the first speculation that name was uttered. The other speculation was that she was incredibly drunk during a particular stream with fellow streamer Pay Money Wubby. And that's another thing you're not allowed to do on Twitch. They have strong rules around alcohol consumption on stream.
Oh, but she's an avatar.
It gets weird, doesn't it? No, your avatar can't be drinking.
Oh, I'm so confused. Like, is this person like who's playing her drinking in the background?
No.
Or is it this avatar that's drinking?
These are amazing questions.
Oh.
There's so many questions.
Yeah.
Right? Because what about a video game? You could be streaming a video game in which
your character
a character in the game takes a drink.
Right.
And you're not banned for that. So is this person a person or a character, and how is it treated? And how is it perceived? And do the same rules apply? Right? It's a lot of philosophical questions going on.
Yeah.
But anyway, it looks like Twitch is treating them just like any other streamer. Now that she's been banned, she just posted that on Twitter, the famous meme. That one right there. What is the name of that meme? What?
Pepe
No,
the
this
frog?
actual meme though has a name. I think
Sad Pepe.
no, I think it's the sage meme. That's what it says in this article.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, it's the frog and thinking or whatever. And the other thing is this individual will probably come back because to be perma-banned off Twitch, you have to be banned 3 times within a 3-month period to rack up the permanent ban. And she didn't do that. She's had 3 bans, but they've been pretty split up. So
Right.
she's probably going to be back. This thing is absolutely bananas. Man folds 1 piece of paper for 50 hours to make a samurai. Look at that!
1 piece of paper.
1 piece of paper. No cuts. Just folds. Check out the video. It's embedded below. This is some staggering, this is some shocking stuff. We're talking 50 hours of folding origami samurai warrior. You can, watch the initial part of the phase. Now, he does use like a liquid adhesive just to stiffen the thing up a little bit at points, but it
Okay.
is all folds. No cutting, no tearing. Look at him go. Pre-creasing. Holy, oh my God. Give us a little scroll forward so you can start to see it taking shape. Oh, the details. 50 hours. What do you take a break? You eat, you come back with the hair dryer.
Oh.
You're folding and folding. 1 sheet.
Why
are you not impressed, Will?
No, this is very impressive. This is very right up my alley here. I'm just in shock.
50 hours. Origami.
And it's posing. It's not like a straight,
No, actually, it's a really cool pose.
Bending
At the
the knee.
very end, he puts it just on a black backdrop, and you can see a lot of the detail, actually, if you go to the end. Not to spoil it, you guys should go watch the video. I'm going to give a shout out to this YouTuber. What's the channel name? Can you read that for me?
Juho Concola? Oi. But
That's very offensive what you just did.
well,
He
you
tried.
give
He
it a-
tried his
give
best.
It a shot.
It's on screen there. But yeah. Oh, he only has 400 subscribers. Wow. This guy's about to blow up. Go check him out.
Shout
This
out.
is insane. This folding. It is just terrifying. The process. It's his first video.
Oh,
How did people find this? How did this end up on Kotaku? Well done, Brian Ashcraft, for tracking this one down. A single sheet, 68 centimeters by 68 centimeters, wafer thin Wenshu paper, folded it for 50 hours. Samurai papercraft, 20 centimeters tall. Tremendous. Well done, sir. Good luck to you in the future. You know, I was watching that Mandalorian thing I told you, Will?
yeah.
Well, now you have the real world Mandalorian, and you know where he is? He's exactly where you might expect him to be, on the streets of Los Angeles. And he even has his very own Baby Yoda, which is really not Baby Yoda, but popularized as Baby Yoda as such. He's on the streets of Los Angeles, and he's moving around on an electric skateboard, and you can catch the clip. People are really getting a kick out of it. And immediately I saw this. I'm like, this must be a YouTuber of some kind. Play a little bit of the video. But it's not. It's not a YouTuber of some kind. It's actually a comedian playing the role. And he said, look, I'm just doing this to give people a little laugh because it's rough out there.
Yeah.
And so he's just on the electric skateboard, just moving about town. And he's looking a little smoother than Mo does on the electric skateboard because earlier today he spilled a coffee all over the floor.
Oh, no.
And himself, all over his face, all over the floor when he was on the electric skateboard.
Still working on it, eh?
Yeah, he's not on the Mandalorian level yet for this.
No.
But anyway, people saw the clip, figured out this guy was a comedian and what he was doing, and then they sent it to Favreau because they want to try and get the guy a role in the upcoming season. Obviously not as Mando.
Yeah, he takes his place. Pedro Pascal.
But, you know, just a small cameo for the, I don't know, for the enthusiasm here. However, he has been pulled over by a couple cops because he's just not necessarily obeying the traffic laws there. But the cops so far have gotten a kick out of it, and they've been pretty cool about it. Did you know, Will, that there's probably dinosaur bones on the moon?
Well,
Mo has a confused look on his face right now. He's thinking, wait a second, but how? Oh, I don't know. How about an asteroid so powerful 66 million years ago? Is our feed dead right now?
Is it? No, it's good.
Okay.
At least here.
66 million years ago,
Yeah.
an asteroid hits Earth. You following me here?
I got you.
It creates an outer space vacuum in the atmosphere that upon impact shoots dinosaur contents all the way back up to the moon. The power, do you mind if
Go
I
ahead.
just read a little bit of this? This is the catastrophic asteroid crashed into what experts say was the deadliest possible angle when it came barreling into what is now Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula. The asteroid was larger than Mount Everest and came crashing through the atmosphere 20 times faster than a speeding bullet. It's so fast that it would have traversed the distance from the cruising altitude of a 747 to the ground in 0.3 seconds. The pressure of the atmosphere front of the asteroid started excavating the crater before it even got there.
Wow.
The pressure. When the meteorite touched ground zero, it was totally intact. It was so massive that the atmosphere didn't even make a scratch on it. It just barreled through there perfectly fine, the size of Mount Everest. The asteroid collided with Earth in the sky above it where there should have been air. The rock punched a hole of outer space vacuum in the atmosphere. As the heavens rushed in to close this hole, enormous volumes of Earth were expelled into orbit and beyond, all within a second of impact.
Wow. That is...
So because of this,
crazy.
there's dinosaur bits on the moon.
Yeah. You would think that it would, I guess, maybe melt in the impact? Disintegrate?
The asteroid left a 120-mile crater at the disaster zone, vaporizing rock and sending billions of tons of sulfur and carbon dioxide into prehistoric skies.
I see.
All living things within hundreds of miles of the impact site would have been incinerated within minutes. And the dust cloud generated by the impact would have blocked out the sun, triggering a nuclear winter, seeing temperatures plunge, acid rain falling from the skies, and 75% of living species wiped out.
Aren't you glad that you're living in
This is fun
time?
reading this. Like, this really intense.
Huh.
I want to narrate this guy's book.
Uh-huh.
I might be a little too extreme with it though.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to
it's very intense.
I'm gonna have to toggle it back just a touch. But like, look at this quote. Then rocks would have bombarded you from a boiling sky that was beginning to take on a hazy glow. It would have seemed like the end of the world.
Riveting.
Yeah. So just remember, we're floating around. We're currently on a rock. There's many other rocks. Some are giant rocks. There's a burning rock. That's the sun. I guess it's less of a rock. It's a whole... Sun's got a whole thing going on.
Yeah.
It's a whole energy thing going on there. It's wild stuff, man. You just imagine. It's crazy the amount of energy.
Just around space.
I guess we're not going to have another one of those for a while, but...
No.
Synthetic cornea helped a legally blind man regain his sight. I love these kind of stories, man. Technology, you can't see, you see. I love it. And also, I really like this video. So I think you should jump straight to it. This is a new technique or strategy for dealing with blindness when you have the disease in the cornea there. This is an implant, a corneal implant, revolutionary in fact. And I think you're gonna be really impressed with this video, the way that they have demonstrated it. You have the human eyeball, the malfunctioning human eyeball. You got to go in there and make some modifications to allow for this implant to be put in there. And since it's going to be replacing the cornea or acting in such a fashion, you got to, you see like this, that's a blind eye right there. You got to carve that part out and have the implant take its place. It's a very cyborg feeling. And so this graphic showcases exactly how the procedure will take place. You got to, first of all, you got to peel this part here down. Look at that. You got to kind of loosen that part up there, and you just trim it down a little bit. You got to scrape over here a little bit. What are you laughing about?
Scraping?
Yeah, you got to scrape over there a little bit, and then you got to make the perfect marking in the center of the cornea. You come down with this tool, which is like a stencil sort of, and it maps all the key points that the surgeon's going to have to work on here. For the various maneuvers that are about to take place. Now, the next part is my favorite part. These are going to be not the corneal incision, but it's like a kind of a suture. Check this out. Boom. Through these tiny little target points. And these are going to be these suturing holes, and the sutures themselves are going to be what holds the implant in place. However, you're not going to see them once everything is completed and lifted up. So you remove, they call it the trepophene. It's pulled off. The device is fastened to the eye wall. Look at this. Oh my goodness gracious. How cool. And then watch, they'll reach in with a tool, a spatula called the snapper, and it just pops the frame into place. Look at that. Bang!
Satisfying.
Come on, man. Imagine this person is about to see again. This part slams back up. It all heals together.
Science.
The tissue and everything heals, and it becomes a permanent fixture. Those sutures on the outside will disintegrate. And all of a sudden, the person goes from seeing like dim shadows, being blind, to seeing again. Full integration is achieved within weeks, permanently embedding the device within the patient's eye.
Wow.
What do you say, Will?
Science.
Look at that.
Very impressive.
You got to be happy about that. Come on, Will.
Sight is important.
Come on, Will.
Oh, yeah.
All right, speaking of science, how about a little local science story? They're working on lab-grown meat over there in Hamilton at McMaster University.
Oh.
And they claim that they've nailed the perfect steak grown in the lab. They say in the future, you're going to be able to dial in your steak in the same way in which you buy dairy products right now, where you might want a certain fat percentage, and then your steak, you just get that exact steak. So you'd be like, I need a 15% or I need a 20% marbling. Yeah, I need a Wagyu.
Yeah. Cool.
Something like that. So anyway, they've been working on it. They say, look, we got to do something here. We feel we can give the real meat taste. They claim that it's going to be better than those other substitutes because it is real meat. It's a process where they use tiny little slivers of actual animal product and then are able to use that into generating far more. They started out with rats. Now, I don't know how you feel about consuming
rat meat.
He's thinking about it. They actually didn't even sample the rat version. They waited until they scaled up to rabbit.
I see.
And they sampled the rabbit version. They're like, you know what? That's meat.
Uh-huh.
And so they think it's really promising. In fact, they're creating slabs now, and they say consumers will be able to buy meat with whatever percentage of fat that they like. They use sheets of living cells, thin as a sheet of paper, first grown in a lab culture, then concentrated on growth plates, stacked together, and the sheets naturally bond to each other before the cells start to die. They say it feels and tastes just like meat, and they claim that their process will... There's no reason that their process will not work in the future with beef, pork, and chicken. They think that their stacking model can also work in large-scale production settings. So they are preparing to commercialize this meat project, and they claim that their new product has the best chance of acceptance among meat eaters because it is still technically meat. Now, I'm going to reserve my judgment. Of course, I've not tried such a thing. Would you try such a thing if you were given the opportunity?
I'll give it a shot.
You give it a shot.
Yeah.
And see what you're working with.
Yeah. I wouldn't be the first.
No.
Would you?
You would be the second. No, I don't know. You're right. It's who's the first to line up. I mean, they're using the cells, the actual cells. It's interesting. I wonder, my real question is for people who don't eat meat, if all of a sudden this works for them. Or is it still a problem because the origin of it, even though it's not?
Yeah. It is sustainable, right?
That's the argument. More sustainable, they say. But I guess, here's the thing, Will. Everything that humans do, there's a residual. You wake up in the morning, something dies. You roll out of bed, something suffers. I don't know. We make a footprint and impact. We try to minimize it.
Yeah.
But it gets real squirrely because you're like, I'm trying to minimize my thing. And I'm like, but you drove the thing over,
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you know what it's like? It's like a celebrity that flies a private jet is bubbling up the atmosphere, but then is telling you that you got to cut back on your, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's a really weird psychology around the whole subject. But I think all of us know that some version of this seems futuristic. Like some version of this feels, you know what? It can go dark too. I don't know. Can't it? Like how much of the world's supply of food would you want to be lab grown? Because wouldn't you worry that
some sort of additive?
It's just an enormous experiment, really.
It is, yeah.
But I guess so is living day to day.
Mm-hmm.
You never know what's going to happen.
No.
Good luck.
Thanks.